Most of us know Sister Carole Hoppe, and most of us know that she has been very connected to the farm in Allegheny for a number of years in various ways. And we've invited her to talk to us this evening about how the sisters as a congregation have supported the earth and valued much of the Franciscan spirituality that we've discussed this evening. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carole Hoppe.
Okay, Carole.
Well, I think we have to hope for the best here because I keep getting a little sign that says your internet connection is unstable.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do the best I can.
Better the internet connection unstable than you unstable.
When Mary asked me to do this, I'm a storyteller. So I decided that the best way for me to do this is I'm not an expert in ecology. I'm not an expert in environmental or even an expert on the Mechanical Farm. So I will share with you what we as Allegheny Franciscans have been involved in through the years in love of creation and in trying to follow our Franciscan heritage. I'll hit on a few different topics. One of the things, and I tried to follow that page in your book that spoke about the different ways in which Francis did things. And one of the things there was about water. It was very respectful of water. And so in doing a little research here, I discovered that back in the year 2007, we did, I'll find it now, but we had a corporate stance on bottled water. And some of what we said there was so important, I think. It was, as Allegheny Franciscans, we witness to God's love and justice in the Franciscan tradition and so forth. And therefore, we oppose the privatization of water and the use of bottled water unless absolutely necessary. Now, I'm glad they added that in absolutely necessary because at the time that was done, 2007, I was living on the Navajo reservation in New Mexico, where sometimes bottled water was the only way we had water. Now, the mission that I lived in, we had running water, but many people don't have running water. There are parts of this country that are like a third world. Well, anyway, the Allegheny Franciscans have taken a stand. And for several years, our sisters really worked hard to find ways that we could use water more carefully. Those are the kind of things that you do in your own homes too. And okay, that's one topic. Another topic, I'm not even going to touch recycling because that's another whole day of itself. Here at the Mother House, composting is a big thing. And we have a huge compost pile off to the side. Neighbors come and contribute leaves to it as well. And we're very careful about what goes into that composting thing because Melissa assured me that a good bit of what we compost when it's ready goes to Mechanical Farm, also goes on the grounds around the Mother House. Another way that Allegheny Franciscans now, presently, are trying to respect Mother Earth. Here at the Mother House, we have, those of you who've been here know, we have extensive grounds. And we've tried to set aside 2 big areas that we refer to as the meadows. They used to be grass, they're now wildflowers. They're nature. So we've got the beauty of nature. Now there's a lot of weeds in there. When you want to talk about what's beauty and what isn't, well, I'm not getting into that, but anyway, but it's a beautiful thing to see. I have not noticed this, but Sister Melissa tells me that she sees a lot more butterflies around than she used to see. Okay. We're saving on the mowing. We're saving on the gasoline fumes going into the air. Okay, those are all advantages. Also, we're noting that in the places where we're planting new plants and trees, we're trying to pick things that are native to our area. In other words, not bringing in, just because something is beautiful, we don't bring it in and plant it at the mother house grounds. We plant what is native to Western New York. Okay, then we get into the area of farming. Now, you've all heard about Canical Farm that we have, but in my doing a little bit of history, I find that farming has been a part of us as Allegheny Franciscans from way back. Many of our sisters, I think, are not even aware of this. In fact, I could find nothing in the archives about it, but around the year 1900, 5 to 10, around in there, we had a farm in Massachusetts near St. Elizabeth's Hospital in the Brighton area in Boston. No records of it or anything, except that there are stories in a book that was written about one of our sisters. Well, at the time the book was written, there were sisters still alive who could tell those stories. And what I'm basing this on is the story is told that when Henry was a young sister around 1905 to 10, around in there, she was at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Brighton, Massachusetts. And the story is told about her taking the horse and wagon, going the 12 miles to the community's farm. So we had a farm already. We were already respecting creation, respecting. Now I know many of our families had farms too, or gardens, but this is something that we've been involved in. Then in the 20s, 1923 to 34, we had a farm called Villa Teresa near Somerville, New Jersey. Now that one, as I heard the story, something about Diamond Jim Brady gave it to us, sold it to us, whatever, but that I can't find anything.
And when was that? When was that? That there was
From 1923 to 34, yeah. In Somerville, New Jersey,
I'm
or near
from not far
Somerville,
from
New
there.
Jersey. And that was a farm, pardon?
I said, I'm from not far from there.
That farm supplied produce to the hospitals in New York City. And also, apparently they must have had cows too. They supplied milk. Why we got rid of it, I can't find anything on that. But anyway, we had that farm. We presently have a farm in Jamaica called Porciuncula Farm that's part of Allegheny Ministries. Now, my understanding from that is that farm is not only to provide food for those who are poor, but also to teach those who are poor how to grow their vegetables, how to use the vegetables, what to do with them. They also have bees there. Several times I've noticed in our mother house kitchen, people will bring us back from a trip to Jamaica, bring jars of honey marked Porciuncula Farm, Jamaica. So, you read in this chapter that you just read about Francis and the bees. Well, here we are in the Franciscan tradition again. There is a farm in Brazil that our sisters have. I can't tell you any more than it's there. I haven't been able to get any information. But now we come to Canticle Farm. In 2001, now some of you will know some of these things already, but I don't know who knows what about it. We established a farm here in Allegheny. So it's 20 years old this year. The farm is now about 26 acres. Let me back up a minute. It was established in 2001 as a ministry to the local community to provide fresh, healthy, local grown food using sustainable farming methods without the use of synthetic or chemical applications. So the farm is certified organic or certified. There's a name for that. And Joyce might have to help me out on some of these things that I wasn't too sure of. Certified naturally grown.
Right.
Yeah, certified naturally grown.
Yeah.
But this farm has been doing a lot of the sisters in pushing for this farm and getting it established and everything. It wasn't easy. They started with very little, but it's built up now. And it's 26 acres. 18 of those acres are usable. Some of it is forested. It's going to stay that way. Some of it has to be kept not planted because of the fact that there's a conventional farm nearby and they can't plant too close to that. Okay, and also because they want to let the land rest and use crop rotation. So at any one time, they're only actually growing on about 7 or 8 acres. One of the most astounding things to me when I first came to Allegheny and saw this farm was the fact that there are high tunnels, which would be like giant greenhouses, which enable them to grow vegetables 12 months of the year.
Wow.
We're selling vegetables. The farm market is open every Tuesday. So people can be buying fresh vegetables, locally grown, know what they're getting
Wow.
every week. During the summer, the market is open Tuesday and Friday, but 12 months of the year, 4 inches of snow out there, and they're growing lettuce over there. They're growing spinach. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Some of the stuff is hard for me to believe. Anyway, besides growing the vegetables, it's also, I won't go too much into the share part of it, but people buy shares ahead of time and then can come and get their shares. In other words, they take their chance on the farm. People who buy a summer share pay up front. Now, if we were to ever have a disastrous season and not get much out of the farm, then those people have lost their money. You understand that. But that hasn't happened, thanks be to God. In 20 years, the people have always been able to get their food. But also 20% of what's grown is given to food banks, food pantries, and so forth. So we've got a couple Franciscan ideas here. We have the sense of honoring creation, using it in the best way, and also providing for those who are needy, those who are poor and need help with their food supply, those who are in what I think we call it now food insecurity. Besides that, we were also pre-COVID. Before COVID, we also had classes where one of the employees would teach people how to use the various, there's 45 different kinds of vegetables grown on this farm. Not all of them would you even recognize. I mean, so someone has to teach you how to use maybe things that you haven't cooked before, like chopped soy and or whatever, some of these things, bok choy, I think it's called.
Bok choy.
Yeah. Okay. Besides that, the farmer also goes to, has gone to some of the colleges, to the agriculture schools, and spoken about what we're doing. So there's the educational piece in there. And just yesterday, I noticed there was a thing online from St. Bonaventure University, and it had to do with Canticle Farm also, talking about Bonas has a program called the Farm to Table program, where in the summer, students, it's a service project, an outreach of the St. Bonaventure University Franciscan Center for Social Concern. Participants in the students in this work at the farm in the mornings and then go to the warming house in Olean in the afternoon to prepare food for the people who are, for those who are needing at
how
the
nice.
warming house. It's a great project. It's a wonderful thing.
Hmm.
And that's in connection with Canticle Farm. It's sponsored by the university, but again, you see how the educational piece comes into it too. Those are some of the things that I wanted to tell you about, and if you have any questions about them, I don't know whether I can answer or not. If it has to do with the farm, it goes to Joyce. The questions go to Joyce.
Pat?
I would say two things. And one is that if you're on Facebook at all, Canticle Farm has a Facebook page, and it has phenomenal pictures of the farmers, the workers, the high tower tunnels, all of that. So if you have Facebook, go looking for the Canticle Farm Facebook page, because it drives me crazy actually when I see the pictures of the fresh vegetables, and I'm in New Jersey and the farm is in Allegheny.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. But when I lived there, I frequently bought kohlrabi and Swiss chard and some of the things that I wouldn't have bought in the supermarket. The other thing is that, and actually in Brazil, and I have visited there a couple of times, there are two farms. And one is a farm that's connected with the hospital and helps to provide some of the food for the hospital. But the other one is right on the grounds of the My Admiral. And they have pigs and greenhouses and vegetables growing in the ground and chickens and maybe cows, because it seems to me they're able to provide some milk. So they provide some food for the convent itself and for those people who come to get food and training and other things. They go home with some of the produce from the farm there. So it's by no means as large as Canticle Farm, but it is definitely a farm, and one of the sisters has put a lot of time and energy into it.
I remember when I was there in Brazil, they had the sow had just given birth, and there was like little piglets running all over the place. But I think they have goats. I don't think they have cows. I think it was goats. I think it was goat's milk that they were
It
using,
could be,
because they
yeah.
made their own cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they made their own. The other thing that I was thinking of, Carol, when you were talking about the foods and things like that, was the other ways that the Franciscans respect all of creation is the way, and I don't know how this, I remember Pat Shirley gave me a long talk about how this works, and maybe Pat, you might be able to, but it's how you compost all your waste at the hospitals. There's a special, it's a special machine or something that takes all the waste and it compacts it in such a way that it becomes reusable again. So it just doesn't go into the earth and contaminate everything. It's, I can't remember. She's explained it to me one time, and I know they do it at St. Joseph's and probably at St. Anthony. I don't know if it's at St. Anthony's. I know it was at St. Joseph's because that's when I was down there. They were talking about it. So it's something, it's another way to look at how to get rid of the waste in a way that's that doesn't make things worse. You know, I think the way it burns off and that like the methane gets reused to heat things and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's amazing, but all the waste, all the medical waste, everything all goes into this one specialized unit that burns it and makes it usable again in some way, shape, or form.
When Pat mentioned about the Facebook for Canticle Farm, there's also a website, and a good bit of what I was picking up here, I got from the website myself. So the website is excellent. The website is very good. And even if you're not on Facebook, and you must have a computer or you wouldn't be here. You can go to the website of Canticle Farm.
Canticlefarm.org. And it used to also, probably still does have the newsletter posted there too. So you can read that.
Yeah, and you can sign up for the newsletter on the website. So it would be emailed to you. Yeah.
And one more thing, when Carole talked about the water and the bottled water, I was on the Environment Committee at the time, and we put all of that out. But at one of our meetings, I think Mary Ellen Tucker helped a little bit with, we created something called a thirst and thanks litany. I'd have to find out which one of my thumb drives it's on, because it's not on this computer. But if I find it, I'll send it to you, because I think it's lovely, and it's just a way of praying with the gift of water. But that's a long time ago that we put it out.
Carole, when you were living with the Indians, obviously they have a great respect for the earth. Was there anything that struck you while you were living with them that was, I don't know?
Yes, this doesn't have to do with so much with their respect for Mother Earth as much as what we were saying about beauty before. When I first got to the place where I was, Tohatchi, New Mexico, there was very little green. I moved there from New Jersey, and there was very little green and no flowers, sand, and the mountains. And if I went into Gallup, the Red Rocks. But you know, the beauty grows on you. And it just struck me that there is a beauty there that we don't always recognize when we're looking for the pretty flowers or the green grass or even the beauty of the ocean. There is a beauty there. And one of my regrets is that I missed the flowers. And so I used to put boxes and plants on the porch of my trailer. And I regret now the amount of water that I used to grow flowers that God never put there to begin with. At the time, I just wanted to see the flowers. I wanted pansies, and I wanted, but and now I regret that. And I'm not saying that, I didn't waste tons and tons, but I came to appreciate the beauty that was there. Now, as far as the Indians, this is an incident that might give you some sense of their idea of the connectedness of creation. The sister that I lived with, Donna, came home one day and she was a little bit upset, but she was, you know how you can be upset by something and yet see the beauty in it too. Some people in her mission up in Nustrity had asked her to come because they were going to donate a sheep because we were having a big celebration in the parish. And they were going to kill this sheep for the celebration. And they wanted her there to bless the sheep while the medicine man explained to the sheep why they were asking the sheep to give its life.
Oh,
And did you get did you get that
wow.
connection? They weren't just going to kill the sheep. They weren't just going to kill the chicken or kill the sheep or whatever you kill to get the meat we eat. They wanted to tell the sheep why they were asking it to give its life. And I also know that when hunters went up into the mountain during deer season they would say special prayers ahead of time that the deer would understand. By the way, they never did this for sport. You didn't kill anything for sport. They killed it to feed their family. And I think it gives you a sense of the interconnectedness. That would be one example.
I thought too of when we were talking about gratitude, of how the Native Americans thank the animal that they have killed or killing for their for that life and what's being provided for them. But they actually thank that animal.
There was a horse that ran away a few days ago, about 20 miles northwest of here. The horse ran away and they had to look for the horse and they found it up to its neck in mud. And they said it ran through this shopping center first. They're not sure why, but they finally found it, and it took very many people of all different kinds of skills, from firemen to police officers to a veterinarian to neighbors to the owners of the horse, and they were able to get the horse out of all this muck. And it took 4 hours, I think. And they were really afraid the horse was going to lose its life. But the horse is at a veterinary hospital getting checked out, but it seems to be fine. And the chief of police, no, the fire chief said this is the third time he helped rescue a horse. And personally, he's not a horse person. But he was glad the horse was saved. It was in today's newspaper.
Okay.
One of the things that we did in New Jersey when I was there, that associate group, was we purchased a partial share of produce from the farm. Now, we were in New Jersey. Our purpose in purchasing it was so that that could go to people in need in the Olean Allegheny area.
That's a
I
good
don't know
idea.
if any group has done that since, or
Yes.
I think we do, they
I
still do.
think it
don't they?
happened a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't think we did it this year.
No.
Well, yeah, I think it kind of fell off the radar, but I know we've done it, and we've done it from the North Carolina group. I think we did that a couple of times. We put like a partial share or something.
Yes.
Um,
When I was the treasurer for the Canticle Farm associate groups, now I couldn't tell you which ones,
Which
but
one, yeah.
associate groups did buy partial shares.
Mhm.
And then that food would be given to one of the food pantries or whatever food bank it was going to, yeah.
Mhm.
that farm that you were talking about in Jamaica, that's Sister Grace Yap is the one that kind of organizes that. And I know that part of that is she uses it was started to help feed the local people because they were indigenous to the area and they were up in the mountains and stuff. And she said that but it's also to teach the younger people how to farm so that they can not just provide for their families, but also earn a living. And that was the reason for the honey thing, to teach them so that they could have actually work and make money. It's an employment opportunity for them.
Isn't there another recent initiative on the part of the sisters in terms of cars?
It's not a formal initiative, but we have encouraged people to look into using hybrid cars. Joyce, I think you got a hybrid, didn't you?
Yes, the car that I got this past year, a few months ago, is a hybrid car. Yeah.
A friend of mine has one. Sharon.
That's becoming the thing. Well, Rita, you have the Prius. You have one too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one. You were one of the first people I knew to have way back when they first came out.
I was very fortunate. Prius, the year after the Prius came out, the person that bought this one liked it so much he got the next year. So I got a used Prius. It's a 2008 and it's almost got 200,000 miles on it, but it's
Wow,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, Rita's a little spitfire. She goes everywhere.
So they not only conserve the gas and protect the environment, they also conserve all the other components of the car because they last so long.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways that we can be respectful of all of nature.
amen.
Anybody have any more questions for Carol or any other comments?
I just want to say that since I'm the newer member here, every time we meet, I learn so much about what you guys do. And I never realized how many things that you guys are involved in.
And it rubs off. We have a garden behind our pastoral center that is specifically for our food pantry. And there's a farm down the road from us that had the farmer's market. And we have had an acre donated or lent to, not donated, but lent to a different church. And a bunch of us churches go out there and we work the crop, and the crop goes to all the different food pantries in the community. So I can't imagine when you mentioned that there was 26 acres. I know our 1 acre that we work is such a job. The Canticle Farm is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Judy, I don't know if you know or realize Rita's from North Carolina.
Okay.
So the farm she's talking about is not in the Allegheny area.
Yeah. Okay.
And Judy, I think those of us who have been around a while have learned a lot also from the presentations in this group,
Yeah.
because all of the sisters and certainly all of the associates don't know everything that's been given to this group. So
Right.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
Me too. So don't feel like the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
We are all learning. That's why
And-
I love joining this.
And that's the whole purpose of recording it, so that we can have this as a permanent record for anybody else that comes along, because as Carol said, as the sisters go off, we don't always have the people to tell the story, so we need the stories. The
Good point.
stories are what it makes it. They really do. The stories make it. Okay.
Well,
So-
Carol Ann, we want to thank you very much for
Yes.
your presentation,
Welcome.
all the time and research that you have spent in
And we
preparing.
prayed and your internet held on good.
Yeah,
It collapsed a couple times during chapter and I had to go to another room. I had to go to the basement.
Well, you did wonderful, you and your internet. Thank you.